Taowi Alchemy. Taowi Alchemy. Taowi Alchemy.
Podcast.
Taowi Alchemy.
Well, I'd love to hear a little bit more about this show, what it is, what your intentions are, your ideas for the show. This is exciting for me because it's the first time someone's invited me to speak on a podcast just to have a conversation.
Well, the excitement is shared, so thank you for willing to be a part of this. And essentially, the mythos of the platform, which is Taowi Alchemy, is demonstration and conversations to spark transformation. So that's essentially what inspired me to create the podcast. And I know some intriguing, inspiring individuals that have done some great things in the world, and I just wanted to get to know them more by interviewing them and asking questions about their life and how they arrived at the current time and space that we find each other to be having a conversation in, and to create a platform to share that with the world and to maybe spark some inspiration into the listeners and the audience to explore themselves more and more of their curiosity, and to allow that curiosity to potentially inspire action into creation and transformation.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Transformation, something that I always have my eye or have my mind on, for myself, like who doesn't want to transform themselves into a better person or into their ideal life. That's definitely something that I want to do. And if I can be a part of other people's processes or inspire, be a catalyst to some positive change, that's fulfilling. That's great, man.
Yeah, so you naturally came to mind. I know we've known each other for a short time, but in that short time, it's felt like lifetimes. And just being able to witness where you are, naturally all these questions have been coming to mind as far as how you arrived to where you are, and just being inspired by how you show up in life, how you treat people, your thoughtfulness, and your talent as well, and all of it. And so I'm just honored that you're willing to sit down and have this conversation, and I'm looking forward to what comes about it.
It's kind words, man. You're always saying nice things. I appreciate it.
I mean,
always genuine too. Yeah, always genuine. That's why it's true compliments. And yeah, I share the same sentiment. Yeah, anytime I see you or things that you're participating in, you're always bringing your fullest. How I arrived here is, it's a good question, because there's a lot of moments throughout my life where I just kind of feel like I was flailing, or I'm trying something new, and I'm just kind of going with the flow without a real clear direction. And then eventually you start doing things that you love or you're passionate about, and you try enough things until something clicks, and then you run with it and you're good to go. We're on the beautiful island of Koh Samui Thailand right now. And yeah, as a young kid, it's crazy. I always thought myself like, oh, I want a house on an island. In my mind, I'm thinking I want, my own private island, ideally. But, this is so cool. Land it in a place where I get to predominantly play music and perform as my main gig. I have a family, and we're living on a tropical island. It's kind of a life that people dream about. And
I was gonna say, you're living the dream.
I'm really happy to have found myself here. It's really a blessing. I don't know. More and more, I realize that, oh wow, I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful. And how did I get here? And it's a good question. I just try to live my life by being kind. The golden rule: do unto others as you would want them to do to you. And I really do, just as simple as that, try to bring that into everything I do, with work, with life, partners, friends.
So how did the music start in your life? What was the first moment that you were aware of this love that you had for music? Was it through hearing a certain record or a certain artist, or was it experiencing it live? Was it through the instrument? Because I know you're a multi-instrumentalist. So walk me through that journey as to how your relationship with music began, and then how it deepened.
Sure. There's no one big spark that I can think of in the beginning, but my dad is musical. He was mostly just singing. For most of his life as a younger guy, he would play in different bands just casually, singing with his friends. So growing up, I always heard him singing to whatever song was playing that he liked and knew.
Did he play multiple instruments as well? Or?
He was only singing until this is probably actually what prompted me to start learning more as well, because around a certain age, maybe he was around 40 or so, and he started picking up the guitar and he started practicing like 4 hours a day, just obsessed with the guitar. And right around this age, I was 9 or so, 9, 10, and I asked for a drum set for Christmas. There was like normal music classes at school, just kind of in the program, just basic stuff. And I just ended up leaning towards drums. So I got a drum set for Christmas. I was so excited. I started taking drum lessons, and I was just focused on rhythm for a while. Was really into like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Incubus, and some less mainstream music like Dream Theater. If you know who Dream Theater is, their genre is a progressive jazz metal. So they're like this heavy group, but they're very, very musically educated. I think that they all have their doctorates in music. There's like 4 or 5 of the guys, and they make these just masterpieces. It's a lot to listen to sometimes. It's intense, but like it was just like, wow, like how are they playing that many notes and going through all these different wild progressions. So kind of early high school, got into different musical tastes, and then eventually I was just asked to sing it was like a battle of the bands, like concert between a couple bands that took place after school hours in our cafeteria. And my friend, he just didn't show, and he was supposed to sing for this group, and they're like, we need a singer for one song. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. Like, I guess, like, never really tried singing before, maybe at home, just kind of messing around. Learned the song on the spot, never heard the song before. Sang the song, and it went well, and then we just kept playing together. So I just started a band with my 2 really good friends, Ethan and Eric. And I started drumming and singing, and the guitar player was also singing. So we had 2 lead singers. And it started out as a 3-piece. Yeah.
It's always cool how life kind of presents itself to you in unexpected ways that can last a lifetime. You know, you had this intention of being a drummer, and then this opportunity to sing, and from what I could tell, you haven't stopped since.
Yeah, I kept singing. That was fun.
And you have such a beautiful voice as well.
I appreciate it. Sorry if you hear me a little bit stuffed up. Yeah, I just had a sinus thing a couple days ago. But yeah, so for those listening who's like, this guy's got a good voice.
So it was drumming, then singing. Well, what came next?
I was, kind of always playing guitar like a little bit, just at home, picking it up, trying to learn some songs, some chords, eventually learning how to like play and sing the guitar. But this was very slow until I moved to New York, out of Philadelphia. I couldn't take my drum set with me, so I brought the guitar and I just started playing guitar more and more. And I wasn't focused on music in New York, but I kept it in my back pocket. Was in the film industry doing utility work, a lot of, background acting, stand-in work, some modeling here and there, little, acting on, small independent projects.
And what prompted that move from Philly to New York, and at what era of life was this for you, and how did it contrast from growing up in Philadelphia into the Big Apple, the big city?
Yeah, I was living on like the edge of Philadelphia where I grew up, and then we moved to the suburbs. So I was never like full downtown Philly kid. So it felt like even more of a contrast going from like suburbs to New York. I was DJing at a bar. I forget if it was like a karaoke thing or a trivia thing. It was very, very basic, just gig to entertain people at a local bar. And someone approached me, like a scout for a modeling agency. So I checked it out. They had a networking meeting in New York. I met a pretty big acting coach, Robert Russell. He's taught some incredibly big names and still doing it. If I'm pretty sure he's still doing it. We haven't spoken in a while. But so I started going to New York once a week and meeting him for acting lessons. And it wasn't anything that I thought I was interested in before, but I figured, let's try. I'm seeing all these beautiful, talented people in the room with Sony was there. I wasn't ready for that conversation, or I didn't have anything to really show. But yeah, a lot of big ins were in at this networking group. And I figured there's something about this acting coach. I was like, I think if I worked with this guy, I could have a shot at trying out acting. And again, nothing that I was super passionate about, but something I just wanted to try. So I just went for it and moved to New York, started auditioning, working on different sets. And I was there for 6 years. Met my wife, Amp, in New York, and we eventually moved to Thailand, where she's from. And that's how I ended up here.
So it sounds like you've had a very creative path.
Yeah, you could say that.
Was your family supportive of that, or were they like, you need to do something more practical and safe, or what was that conversation like?
My parents were always pretty cool. My parents opened up a hair salon when, before I was born, actually. Just before I was born, they opened a hair salon. It's basically 2 shop houses next to each other. They rented the second one out, a couple apartments above. But so, you could argue they had a creative life. If you're cutting people's hair for a living, this is art, basically.
Definitely an art.
So they they were cool with whatever I wanted to pursue. They kind of let me choose my own path, and I'm grateful for that. They never really pushed me into anything, except for, like, go to college. This was like the one thing that they were like, we want you to do this.
And did you?
I did half of it.
Okay.
I got my associate's degree at a community college. The plan was for me to go on to another school, but at this time, I graduated 2007. Recession hits 2008, right? So I'm seeing all these people that are a little bit older than me pay lots of money to their school, and they're just like, we don't have a job.
Right.
Like, we don't know what to do. Like, no one knows how to pay their student loans. So in my head, I'm like, I don't really know what I want to spend a bunch of money on to learn about yet. So I'm gonna, kind of take this degree, and I'm just gonna start working and making money. And I'm not in debt yet, so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in a bunch of debt right now when I'm starting my adult life. So I chose to not continue to get a bachelor's. And it worked out. I mean, there were certain moments when I was looking for jobs, and it would have been easier if I had a bachelor degree. But I kept rolling. I made it work. I always found something to make ends meet. And now more and more it's with creative outlets, which is super cool.
And even if it's easier, that doesn't mean it's fulfilling. It seems as though this has been just some awareness and wisdom to and confidence to make that decision and to choose yourself. And even though I'm sure you've had your challenges and have met some challenging circumstances, that ultimately it's been rewarding, if not educational.
For sure, educational. Through different things I've done for work, I've learned a lot about people. I've learned a lot about myself. A good amount of, financial habits, to have, personal financial habits. Now I'm starting to learn a little bit more and more about business. Never went to school for business, but starting businesses with different partners now and seeing how it's set up, seeing the financial structure, how to manage the budget, and all these things are super valuable, I think, for any individual to know, even if you don't have a business, because one can treat their own life as a business and just be effective and efficient. And
in a lot of ways on paper we are, whether we're aware of it or not, right?
Yeah, that's true.
If we weren't, we wouldn't be taxed.
Right. Yeah. When tax season comes around, it definitely feels like a business. Yeah.
That's great. It sounds as though experience has been one of your greatest teachers, and I feel that for me sometimes I feel that's the only true teacher. Is like you can have all of these ideas, all of these hypotheses, but until you test them, you don't really know how it's going to play out in the real world or real life. It's just kind of a simulation up until that point. Yeah,
for sure. And I feel the same thing about, classes or, in school education. You're sitting down, you're learning things from a piece of paper, from a board, from lectures, discussions. But until you actually go out and do those things, it's, you don't really have the experience.
Right. Well, ironically, you're learning from people that had the experiences.
Yeah, but and that's always been the best way for me to learn, is to actually just go and do it, put my hands on the thing, try it out. I learn best that way. And sometimes you might be telling me something, you might be telling me to do something, and I won't actually realize what you're telling me to do until I'm doing it.
Right.
And this is the process. This is what he meant when he said to connect these two things or do it in this way. So yeah, that's been very prevalent for me.
Amazing. So you're in New York. You're pursuing acting? Are you still doing music simultaneously, or is it just more focused on the acting and modeling in New York?
So I wasn't doing any music professionally in New York, but I was still writing music. I just kind of had my guitar in my free time, and I would play. Every now and then go to an open mic or something like that. There'd be some house parties here and there with instruments, and sometimes people playing or jamming. I'd, always take an opportunity to get up and have some fun.
Enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, but it was in this moment in New York, it was pretty much on the back burner, and I didn't really start picking up music again until I moved to Thailand and COVID happened, and it was just like all this downtime, and I bought a used electric guitar. I had my looper from the past, so I was just messing around with vocals and guitar into the loop station and just practicing over a loop, practicing playing solos over just regular songs until I was, getting comfy enough, and there were some spots open doing like open jams or open mics. And just went out, would play some of my songs, play with other people. A guy asked me to start a band with him, so I said yes. We started playing in Bangkok. We eventually moved to Samui. I was teaching online at the time, English, just because it was an easy job to get. And China changed their laws, and like all these companies just dropped a bunch of foreign teachers. Once that happened, I was like, I don't know what to do. In Samui, I need to find work. I wasn't even thinking yet I'm going to start playing music. But I went to drop something off for my friend Nathan to a weed bar, and they were having just people playing music. It wasn't a jam, but they said, hey, if you want to play with us, you can. I started playing with them. We had good chemistry, so I just started going back there almost every day until he asked me to stay, and I'll pay you to just like come back and play. And then that started my music career on Koh Samui. Just like meeting random musicians,
amazing,
playing music, and then eventually more people are like come around to my bar, and we started, playing music around the island, and then then we built Vibration.
Out of all the places in the world, why and how did Thailand come up on the radar, and also how did you meet your wife? I know you met her in New York, but how did the two of you meet? What was that story? And how did it develop into a marriage and a family?
We were working together on a TV show called The Blacklist. It's like the James Spader show.
Yeah, definitely.
And before we were on set, it's just like a holding area where you're eating breakfast, getting hair and makeup done and all that. And, I saw this girl and I was just like, yo, what's going on? Traded info. She just got out of a marriage, actually, which I didn't learn until, a little later. But she was in a big serious relationship. Got out of that recently. I said, let's hang out sometime. We'll do yoga or whatever. Really nice. Really like, I want to take you on a date. And at the time I was very much single, not really looking to get into something serious. But after we met, we were just glued together. We, started hanging out every day, and it's kind of been like that ever since. And we worked more and more together. We were helping each other find work. I got her some lines on this movie. It was a musical movie about New York. The title's not coming to me. It'll come to me in a bit. But
okay.
Anyway, after a while,
it's not In the Heights, is it?
It's In the Heights. Yes,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew you'd get it if I gave a description. Yeah, she's in like the first 2 minutes of the movie. Well, we're both there. We walk into the shop, and she's the one with the lines.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. I love when two humans come together to support their endeavors and to make life a little less challenging together.
Yeah, and she wasn't really looking to get in the industry. Also, it was she just like kind of, her friend said, "Hey, you should try this out. You can, do some background acting. It's good pay, and you don't have to do anything." So she just kind of, "Oh, I'm just checking it out," and then we met, and then I showed her how to, do it better and get better jobs and things like this, and yeah, it was like that for a while, and eventually, she was in the States for 14 years, I think, long enough to get her citizenship.
Wow.
And after she got her citizenship, she was like, my parents they're getting older. I haven't really spent time with them for a while. I'd like to go back to Thailand. At this point, we had already visited Thailand twice, so I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but we'll figure it out. Did a few little acting, modeling things here and there, but mostly I just COVID started recently after that, so there was like a huge opportunity to teach online. So I was making money teaching online, practicing music in my spare time. I picked up doing meditations like every day for like either 30 to 90 minutes. This was an important time in my life because I was able to manifest so many things that I wanted, like playing music on an island.
Professionally. Who would have known, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the power of meditations. Yeah, not to be taken lightly, for sure.
And how's that journey been for you? How's your spiritual journey and story of you?
Yeah, it's a long and windy road. You could say. Started around 18, 19. Maybe from the time I was like 16, I started practicing Wing Chun, Kung Fu, traditional Wing Chun, very regularly. And after like a year or so, they started introducing their meditation practice. And then that just got me interested to kind of dive in myself, do my own research, learn a little bit more, try stuff out for myself. I had some pretty cool experiences that, showed me that, wow, there's something to this. So I kept up with that whenever I could. I eventually, after moving to New York, I found this international yoga community called the DeRose method. And they're, very powerful group. Got more into learning about the energetic body, the different planes of man and consciousness, and techniques to explore that. And so that was always there through my young adult life until now. And after moving to Samui, I moved away from it for a bit just because of the hustle. It was just so busy. There's so much going on.
Right.
So only just recently am I now starting to like slowly get back into that and put it back into my routine so I can feel a little more at peace, a little more whole. And it's definitely helping me to be more me, and to let some of the noise go.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear that experience and to arrive at what seems to be integration.
From what age have you been involved in Taoism, in Qigong, and everything that you do?
So Taoism specifically since 2005.
Okay.
Is when I was introduced formally to Taoism. And then as far as spiritual phenomena, honestly, almost as early as I can remember. I would probably say 3 or 4.
Wow.
My memories go back to 3, and I just remember saying to myself, "You better stop saying that in your head. Your mom's gonna hear you." And then I just started to realize it doesn't really work that way here, or if it does, a lot of people are no longer practiced in it. I had a reoccurring dream, I want to say since I was 5, of just being able to move things with my mind, which made me start to ask the questions, is that possible? And that's when I discovered the term for it, which is telekinesis or psychokinesis. And that kind of just started my curiosity with the human potential. So it's kind of always been that.
Uh-huh.
And I still find myself exploring that till this day because it seems limitless to me.
Yes. I don't know if I've seen actual telekinesis happen or not, or if I've done it myself. You know, sometimes you see some weird stuff happen, but I can definitely agree with you on the point that, yeah, the limitless potential of what people are capable of, especially in the mental and energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
The physical is so obvious and prevalent, and most people use that as the proof.
Right.
Yeah, but the way that we're able to use our mind and emotions and our intentions, our self-talk, all of this stuff that we don't see, creates behavior and action that then translate into the physical. People have the ability to affect other people's energetic fields and emotions and thoughts. And
every day.
When you get into that, and then you get into multiple people together in a group thinking and feeling and having the same intentions, then you start creating something really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can start building worlds,
literally,
and realities.
Yeah.
And this goes back to, I know, I brought it up more than once when we were together, this idea of, I always say I believe in everything because I understand the power of belief and how belief can shape reality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't like to write off anyone's beliefs, regardless of how crazy it seems, because yeah, if enough people are in the same place and time and believing in that and shaping their thoughts and their emotions around that, they create that world.
I can definitely empathize. I don't know enough to tell somebody that they're wrong.
Right. This too. You see so many crazy things throughout your life that it's just like, well, I'm not going to say that's impossible to happen because, I really don't know.
Yeah, for me, that's the closest to the truth that I can get, is that I don't know. There's very little that I know, and I'm just looking for ways to open myself up to more experiences to maybe find out.
Yeah, hopefully we will. I mean, yeah, the more time that passes, I feel like, yeah, I'm learning new stuff every day, making realizations about myself every day.
It's interesting what you said about how everything that's real to us tends to be based on the physical and creating structures and systems of belief around that, and how it could be seen as the exact opposite. It could be seen as the limitation if everything is just based on this, because we know for a fact that there are things that affect us that we can't see, like breathing. We can't see it, but we know that we need it to stay alive. And And I think that evidence alone should still spark curiosity in what else is out there that we can't see, but we still may be able to experience in some way, shape, or form through consciousness itself. And how do we use that as a tool? How do we develop that as a tool as well? And what would the world look like if it was more focused on exploration of human potential rather than being so finite in what we believe the limitations of humanity to be?
Yeah, we would definitely go further and faster.
You know, if we were not trying to block Nikola Tesla from providing free energy.
Yeah, this is a monetary limitation.
How different would society look and feel if we were just more promoting that type of thinking rather than suppressing it?
Right. How can we all thrive in a sustainable way? Not necessarily to the benefit of one party.
Exactly. Or one collective. Yeah.
It's his work was always fascinating and beautiful to me. And yeah, he worked with energy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this is, I feel like more and more people are starting to realize that's where the priority and the focus should go, is, you know, all these things that we don't see. That's the director of reality. It's like that's what creates the physical representation of the world. You know, it's like I don't know, in my head right now, I'm thinking about it like the physical part of existence is, you know, the gross base layers, right? You know, the lowest frequencies. It's almost like the feet of existence is, you know, the physical world. And then above that, you have all these things you don't see, like the thought and intention and your emotions and the breath and and this portion people don't give so much attention to because you don't see it.
Yeah. And we tend to be distracted by what we see.
But you can feel it, you can experience it, you can even experience it collectively if you know how to do that, or you're tuned in to your group or your partner or whoever it is that you're practicing with. So it's possible, but in everyday life, that's not what people are doing. You know, they're making sure they're not going to hit the car in front of them, which is
valuable as well.
Valuable, yeah.
Yeah, it's not an either or, and everybody has their path, and that's what makes it beautiful, because if we were all doing the same things and wearing the same things and acting the same way, life would be, it'd be very specific. I don't think it would be as exciting or rich.
Yeah, it would be pretty boring. It would be like being ants, though, just like uniform and do the task. This is the information.
Yeah. And even ants have some creativity as far as approach and problem solving. It's not just, it's like, all right, let's try it this way. And just the collective nature of it. How they work as a unit very well.
Fascinating. Yeah.
But I also get your point as far as, you know, serving the colony and not stepping out of line. And
well, I feel like this conversation's starting to remind me of not Ultimatum. What's the movie with Christian Bale?
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Thank you. Yeah, you're going to be doing this the whole time, just reminding me of movies I can't think of the names of. But yeah, in Equilibrium,
the next game show.
Yeah, everyone's wearing the same thing. No one's allowed to feel, right? This is kind of getting into dystopia. But I feel like if we were in a place where it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about your style, you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear today. You know, it's just like, this is the task, and everyone is hyper focused on, being in sync with your fellow humans, and we can just communicate the task that much faster. It's almost like, I don't know, I feel like that's how ants work, where it's just like one person knows I'm going to touch you, and then everyone knows the task, and like they get it done so quickly.
Yeah.
Work in, numbers of, hundreds all doing the same thing, creating bridges and like wild stuff.
Yeah, that hive mentality where one learns, they all learn, kind of like AI.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, where's humanity going with AI, and this. There was an interesting conversation on Rogan where, this was also when a lot of conversations around gender identity were coming up, and AI was taking off, and they always have conversations about aliens, and the one guest was like, do you think that like we are the aliens and we're slowly becoming these like genderless cyborgs? This is a wild conversation. But it's
valid nonetheless.
It's interesting when you think about it, because we're all attached to GPS. Everyone basically requires their phone to live now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to get these smart glasses, right? So like I'm only serving that. But it makes you wonder if we did shift focus away from, I'm not saying I favor this, but if we did shift focus away from individuals' thoughts, individuals' style preferences, all this stuff, and it was all more community or hive-minded, how much would we get done?
Yeah, I think individual, or better yet, independence is, I don't think that it's accurate, because we're all dependent on something.
Mm.
Well, whether it's food, whether it's the person that you get your income, whether that's a boss or a client or a partner, right? Even to come in to this physical existence requires two people.
Yeah.
Even if it is in a lab, it still requires people to create that life in the lab. So I don't think there really is true independence. I think we're all interdependent in some capacity.
Yeah.
The sun is, or the earth is dependent on the sun and other cosmic forces that have it in rotation. And so I think if we could align to that truth, we could move in harmony rather than in dissonance, because we're still moving in a direction.
Yeah.
It's just whether we're dragging our heels or if we're light on our toes.
Yeah, that was well said. You read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
I haven't. I got it when I was really young. And when I was young, it was hard for me to value reading because there weren't subjects or topics that I was interested in. As soon as I graduated college, I read 10 books that summer.
Yeah.
And it was because I finally had the time to do what I wanted to do and explore the topics that I was interested in.
Yeah.
So when I got that, I think it just was, I was too young to maybe, I didn't even pick it up, honestly, but from what I hear, the information, I just don't think I would be able to apply it.
It just reminded me of it because we're talking about independence, dependence, interdependence. And I like how they break it down in that book. Dependence is when you're reliant on someone else to live a sustainable life. Independence is when, you're able to create a sustainable life for yourself. And then interdependence is when multiple people who are capable of being independent choose to operate together and, create synergy, make a larger whole than the sum of your parts.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, I think people focusing on interdependence.
We still are even with the sustainability is still built on the dependent of the customer or the
society,
client.
the person that bottles your water, or
there's some exchange happening.
Sure.
But
true
I do think
independence. When you put it that way, it doesn't seem
framing.
like it really exists because, at the end of the day, everyone will break it down and say we need each other.
Right, and even if you remove humans from the equation, you still need water. You still need food. You still need the bees
so then you're dependent
that pollinate
on,
everything. Because most people
nature.
just think, oh, well, it's human. No, there's still other aspects of life that we're dependent on.
Yeah.
So the more that I honor that, the more I look for ways to work with what is, and how I can be an instrument of value to
whatever it is you're interacting with.
Yeah, there's a force that wants to express itself, and when I've thought that it has to express itself this way, is when life becomes a lot more challenging, rather than being receptive and open to it being a collaboration rather than a dictation of me and my superiority and my intelligence of knowing that, no, this is the best way. It's like, this is just a way.
Right.
And there is a multitude of ways that this could be approached and expressed. And maybe if I were open to exploring what that might look like, I might find myself in a more harmonious state of being and existing, rather than being confined to my own limited belief and thinking.
Yeah, I think that shows with how you live your life. And I feel like if you're bringing that into everything, every conversation, every interaction and transaction, you're approaching it from a harmonious, collaborative way. People see that and they value that because, they can tell right away that, this person is being thoughtful to my needs and interests as well, not just their own. I don't know why this image of like how to live harmonious with nature, for example, came to my head, but it would be the difference between like, I stumble across a river, I need water, so I'm now going to reroute this whole river just into my yard, and I'm going to make my own pond with this river, versus just taking the water that I need, daily or weekly from the river. If you reroute the river, then maybe all the life down the line that was also dependent on the river will now die, and you're a part of that.
Right. All in the name of your own limited convenience. Now, this is all great. So you arrive in Samui, and you don't know what's to come. Music has been there, but it's not necessarily as present at certain moments. And you and Nathan, did you know him before you came to Samui, or did you meet him here and just develop a friendship? How did that all come to be?
Yeah, for those listening, Nathan's my partner at a bar that we own together called Vibration. I was doing a little bit of music in Bangkok. Again, this was during COVID. There were some places that were open. I started playing with a group. We were doing maybe a gig once a week, if that. And Nathan came to one of my gigs. We were just in a group chat together of a bunch of expats living in Thailand. It was just entertainment for during COVID. And he came to one of my shows, and we met each other. I met his wife, and after a couple of weeks, I get a message from him in this group chat, and he's just like, guys, you should check out Samui. There's no one here. Rent is dirt cheap, and Bangkok sucks right now because it's during COVID.
Right.
And I look at my wife and I'm like, we should probably do that, right? Let's get out of here for a couple of weeks. So we came here. The plan was 2 weeks. We stayed for 5 months.
Wow.
Bangkok locked down while we were here. And we're like, well, we're not going to go back there. And it was really cheap and easy to live here. People were only like wearing masks in like 7-Eleven and grocery stores, banks. And outside of that, it felt completely normal here. In the rest of the world, it was just chaos. So we were like, oh, we're very comfortable here. Let's just stay here. We're about to build a home in another part of Thailand. We're about to sign the construction bill, actually. And right before we signed it, after a bunch of work with like an architect and everything, we were hanging out in the ocean, and she was just like, what do you think about just buying a house here instead of building a house elsewhere? We don't have to worry about, construction going sideways. I was just like, I love it. Let's do it before you change your mind. That's what we're doing. That's the plan. So yeah, we decided this was home base. We're gonna live in Samui. And Nathan was here. He invited some people to come, so we naturally started hanging out. I met some people that he knew, who was running the weed cafe, and I just started going there regularly. Started playing music. Started gigging around the island eventually, and he noticed I was moving gear to and from, breaking down, setting up for every gig. And he was like, this is like what all the musicians here do, huh? And I was basically like, yep. And he was like, wouldn't it be great if there was just like a permanent stage with everything set up and the musicians could just come in and play instead of having to do all this? I was like, that would be a dream come true. And he was like, well, let's build that. Why don't we build that? And then I was kind of like, yeah, great idea, sure. And he was like, no, I'm serious. Let's start like scouting places right now. Like I'm into making this business with you if you're into it. And I was like, okay, like I'm into it. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
He had the capital and the business experience to make it happen. And, I knew enough about stage and performance to handle that side. And so we built Vibration, and the rest is history. Now we got a nice music community coming there regularly, live music on almost every night, a lot of jamming. Now getting some more structured performances in. It's definitely going.
That's amazing, and you have a reputation. I know when I got to the island, I just kept hearing vibration. Like, if you're gonna do music, vibration, vibration, vibration.
That's
and
awesome.
I was like, I gotta go check out Vibrations, and it was refreshing to see what felt to be a real venue in Samoa in ways that I hadn't quite seen. There's a lot of beach bars.
There's great pop-up shows everywhere.
Exactly, and they might even have like a little stage, but it didn't feel like a venue. It felt like a restaurant that does music, or a little beach club that every now and again does music. But this felt like it's dedicated to music, and everything is kind of around that. And then also just seeing the creativity in the aesthetic. It feels kind of like rustic, space agey, if I could describe it.
It's a pretty eclectic feel, for sure.
But for some reason it works.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really cool that a conversation turned into a manifestation that so many people have been able to benefit from, and to find community and to find an outlet to be able to express themselves musically and creatively, and myself included. So yeah, thank you to you and Nathan for being able to provide that.
I'm happy to, man. It's really a pleasure. Interestingly enough, that conversation happened not far from where we're seated right now, in Bantai. We're at his place, just hanging out at night, and then it begun. Yeah, it's been a really fun road. Uh, the design thing is interesting too because something about me is I really like something minimal
Mm.
and simple and
Mm-hmm.
easy. Um, but the design at the bar is very eclectic, almost chaotic, but it works. It's like a beautiful chaos in a bit, and it's not messy necessarily, but it's kind of all over the place. But it's beautiful to me, and we get a lot of good compliments. So
I
yeah,
think that's also what adds to the uniqueness of it is exactly what you described. Because if you come in, it's like this is really unique. It's almost a piece of art in itself.
yeah, we had an artist put the final touches on the place. Um, when we first built it, we were like, kind of got the wind taken out of our sails a little bit because our initial design. So it's all, those are listening, not seeing the venue. It's all built with black metal bars and gray concrete walls and flooring. But when we initially thought of it, we were like, oh, let's get wooden post, bamboo design, make it look real natural and earthy. And, this was kind of the feel we were going for. And then we have just like this big metal black and gray box. And we're like, what are we going to do with this? And then, yeah, luckily we found an artist who had some really cool ideas of just how to get the place closer to what we were initially envisioning. And yeah, what came out was satisfactory for sure.
How does that feel to have a conversation that a bit apprehensive as to the sincerity behind the pitch into what is now a lived reality?
Um, Run that by me one more time.
So essentially, you have this conversation with Nathan, and he's like, "Let's build a music venue," and you're like, "Okay, sure,
Yeah.
yeah, if you say so." To now, it's complete to the point where there's been multiple nights of memories and stories created. How does that feel to go from that conversation to the current reality?
Yeah, I felt it on the first real night, like the first real opening night, which was April 1st, 2024. We had a full stage. It was a jam all night. And it was exactly, what we were trying to make. And, the bar has, all the art complete, everything's done. All the systems aren't in place. There's still things that are missing, menus missing, right? There's, it's not all complete, but the music community knows about it. And a bunch of them were there to support the opening, and everyone's playing on stage, having a great time all night. From that moment on, it was just like, not disbelief, but I was just surprised at how fulfilling it was. Right? It was like I did this. Like I had a major part in bringing all these people together and having a good time and wanting to continue to come back and have a good time. So yeah, it feels fantastic. Yeah, it's been a long road and sometimes hard and bumpy conversations, but you know, for the good of the cause, and it's totally 110% worth it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's
yeah,
amazing. And I even think like even with those challenges and those bumpy conversations, if you can get through the conversation, that sometimes it brings all parties closer, you know, rather than just failing and it turning into either a shouting match or complete avoidance. Is if we can just sit here in this discomfort, address it, talk about it, and see if we can find some solutions. You get to know someone better, to be able to work, for lack of a better term, better or more harmonious.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, communication has always been the key. When there's a lack of communication, there's problems, right? It's just how
Yeah.
it always is.
I would
And
say lack of communication can sometimes spark the imagination.
right, or even if it's just miscommunication.
Right.
Me and my partner, we have a lot of miscommunication where we think we're giving each other a clear message, and we're really not.
Right.
Um, so this is something we've had to work through, and it's tricky. And sometimes I'll find myself frustrated, but then when I sit down and I really understand what's being asked or said, even if the wrong terms are being used or wherever the miscommunication happened, I realize time and time again, it's just like, oh, this actually does make a lot of sense. It's just being presented in a format that's just doesn't work for me, and vice versa.
Right.
So once you get past that, you realize, oh, it's just another person trying to solve the same problem
Right.
as I'm trying to solve. Better try this out, or better hear them out.
Yeah.
And it's really been that over and over again. And I can't believe that I'm still surprised, when it happens. And it's just like, well, I know this pattern already. But yeah, that's just that's what it takes to collaborate and do business with, other people, people from different walks of life, different education, different experiences. They'll be able to relate to you or not relate to you in so many ways, and it's up to you to be able to just kind of bring that in and translate it, sometimes tolerate it, right? But yeah, from what I found is if you're able to do that, even in very uncomfortable situations, you'll be able to cause transformation.
Yeah. In my experience, it allows new perspectives, which helps me, as far as what you're saying, to be able to transform how I perceive things, because I'm not solely looking through my lens. It's like, what, somebody that's 5 feet is seeing the world completely differently than I am. So what happens when I lower myself to be 5 feet, and what might be more available than seeing it at 6 feet, and vice versa. So exactly to what you're saying is that in and of itself is transformation. You get to see things differently, which transforms the way that you see them.
Yeah. And if more and more people were able to kind of have that perspective and relationship with each other, that's how the best businesses and companies work, right? People, they collaborate, and they put emphasis and focus on clarity and communication. And if maybe more people brought that into their own personal lives and interactions, we'd be a little more empathetic to other people, and we'd be able to live more harmoniously with each other. And we could get a lot done. And that's what I meant when there's transformation when that happens, because regardless if it's one partner or someone you're in a romantic relationship with or a friend, if you go from friction to just understanding and being open and listening, that's where transformation happens, because that's where true collaboration can happen, and that synergy that we brought up earlier. Yeah.
Definitely. I think when we can come together to create something that's bigger than us, and if we can focus on that, of what's best for what we're creating, rather than what's best for me individually, then we might surprise ourselves. We might surprise each other, And from that surprise, we might be inspired, if not, again, finding moments where we're overwhelmed with fulfillment.
Yeah. 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 It's special when someone can remove their ego from the equation of a collective. That's how, yeah, I'm sure some of the best bands, we talked about companies, but bands as well. This is, when everyone's like really like whatever's for the good of the group and for the good of the band and in our direction and our vision. Yeah. This is when you're going to really start to get some traction and growth. That's what I'm starting to see with what we have going on Saturday nights, which is this, live music streaming concept. We putting on 3 bands, normally revolving around a theme for the night. But it's interesting because when you're running a venue, we created a jam space. So we have, you can use our gear, you can use our stage, people can come up and play music. And we built that for the fun of doing that. And we have plenty of people coming in to play for free and staying and entertaining people for a long time for free just because they love to do it. This is kind of what we built the space for, but we've also attracted a lot of musicians that they depend on gigging as their income stream. So, people also want to play there for money, which is fine. And we have a need, and that works on some nights as well. But with this Saturday night program, I'm seeing a lot of the same people that were, mostly just interested in playing for money, coming together and realizing that, all right, we're building something now. Money in the short term, might have to be on hold. But if we're building this thing together, the long-term potential is so much greater than what I could make at, just a random gig at a bar or a restaurant.
Right.
And I'm seeing people start to really work together as a group, as opposed to thinking more about individual needs. And it's powerful. And if it stays and we stay the course, we can make something really, really cool. We could have a really kick-ass band.
Well, I'm looking forward to continuing to see how it develops, and let me know when you have the link. I'll put it in the description of
of
this episode, so people can find out more about what you're doing. And
we're looking forward to having you Saturday, man.
I'm looking forward to being there, to be my last little musical moment before heading to Vietnam. So I'm looking forward to sharing a night of music before heading off in less than a week now. So
how's that feel?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Vietnam. Everything is locked in, so that always is the best feeling. Is when
getting all the planning
EVs,
over
the tickets, the accommodations, and all of that, and the packing, and knowing where to place all of the material belongings. And I've just heard nothing but positive things about Vietnam, so I'm looking to experience that. Looking forward to experiencing that myself, and just open to the new experiences, what life would like to offer me, and where I'm at right now is just a clear space, and from that clarity is a lot of peace and calm. I don't feel anxious in ways that I used to, and it all feels aligned. So I'm looking forward to how it will shape me, and where it'll place me, and being okay with just not knowing, because I feel like that is the ultimate truth, is that I can have all of these plans. I've had all of these plans drawn out for 5-10 years, right? For me, I've been lucky for the day to pan out.
Right, yeah.
The way that I've planned.
Yeah, the only constant is change.
Exactly.
Right? And you can expect the unknown.
I had a moment where I used to draw all the time. That was one of my first outlets for artistic expression. And I recently went back to it. I've been trying to at least have an hour to 2 hours first thing in the day to just be creative in the ways that I want to be creative in that moment. Nothing premeditated.
Right.
And so I was like, I feel like drawing. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to draw, but I'm going to just approach the canvas. I'm just going to approach the piece of paper and see what wants to be drawn through me. And then when I feel that I've reached completion, to just take a step back and see what is being offered to me through this experience. And as simple as it is, it's been very profound for me, because I feel like that's life. I don't know what needs to be created or what necessarily needs to be attended to or why I'm attending to it. But if I just show up fully, and then when I feel that, okay, that's as much as I can give to it, and I can just take a step back, I can see a beautiful picture that is rewarding or insightful, or I don't even have to know the meaning behind it. I can just witness what has been created.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful way to apply yourself to almost anything. Like this takes me back to music, because I can relate to it a bit more. I've tried drawing and some other forms of art, but it reminds me of improvisation. And when you see musicians reach that moment where they're not thinking, and they're just letting the music flow through them, or they're just pulling this, information from source and letting it flow through them, and it's effortless and beautiful and powerful. And you get a couple people doing that at the same time, and they're in sync. It really feels like magic. Like
Yes.
It's very magical. I know I felt it on the drums. I felt it on vocals for sure, and I can feel it on guitar sometimes when improvising or playing some simple solo. It doesn't have to be highly technical, right? It can be simple and still be very powerful, and just it really is just flowing without you thinking. People do this in sports. It can be in many different aspects of life, not just in art, for example.
Right.
But yeah, this idea of just allowing allowing life to move you, and seeing what is created or what transpires. I've gotten some really cool results that way, not knowing what was going to happen, and it's just like taking us back to embracing the unknown. Can be a really beautiful and powerful thing.
I think that's the way to close it out. And on that note, it sounds like the perfect button.
I love this idea of having conversations to inspire transformation. That's going to be valuable.
Well, I thank you for being a part of the journey and
Thank
a
you
part
so
of
much,
my
man.
story. And I look forward to sharing this with the world, and we'll see what happens, right? No expectations.
Hey,
I'm
happy to be a part of it. I'm honored, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other excitement that you want to share before we head out of here, as far as projects or new ventures? I know you have Vibrations, which if you're ever in Thailand and Koh Samui, you definitely need to stop by.
Yeah, thank you. This is the part where Om's being nice enough to cue me to plug my stuff. But yeah, for sure, stop by. If you like live music, you want a cool place to hang out. If you're a musician, you want to meet other musicians, definitely stop by vibration in Koh Samui. That's the main project I'm focusing on right now. I've got other projects going on and interest in developing new ones still. But yeah, just as an ending note, I'm going to take it back to family because, yeah, I keep, as a creative, I always want to start something new. But if I do too much, I'll burn out. And I always have to remind myself to give time to myself and give time to my family. I've got a son. He's the joy of my life. And, you know, if I'm ever working too hard and I'm not spending time with him daily, or the time that, you know, I know that I should be spending, I feel like I don't have that correct balance, right? So I think it's up to everyone to determine what those priorities are, and yeah, make sure you're giving them, you know, you're giving yourself to that too, and not just you know, stuff that's work related. I'm fortunate to be able to work in an area that I'm passionate in. So sometimes I don't want to stop working, and it gets, you know, I get confused of like, you know, what, you know, where's the most important part of my life to put myself, since, you know, I love everything right now. So yeah, finding that balance is really key. And yeah, I know I feel so much better if I get it just right.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. And yeah, I'll let you know when this episode's going to be
let me know, man.
Coming out.
I'm looking forward to giving it a listen.
Coming to a platform near you.
Yeah.
But no, this was awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious to check out your next guests too. So keep me posted.
Yeah, it's not specific to any industry or any premise, except for cool humans doing inspiring things.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.